Welcome to the Bucks County Association of Realtors for our learning series today. We are honored to have Natalie Davis and Tina Lombard here today to work with our titled Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, a Celebration of Differences. My name's Anne Marie Allen. I'm the DEI staff liaison. I'm here to help you and strongly encourage you to turn on your cameras. Again, we would like to take a picture, a group shot of everybody that's here. If you could open up your chat feature, it would be greatly appreciated so that we can have any type of correspondence. Lisa Ginsburg, the Director of Education, is on today as well. Her and I are here to help you with anything technical along the way. I'm going to turn this over now to Rose. Rose is the co-chair of the Bucks County Association of Realtors Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Thank you, Rose.
Oh, thank you very much, Anne-Marie. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, friends, ambassadors, our honored speakers and welcome guests, and of course, our wonderful talent. We have so much for you today in this celebratory event. So thank you for taking the time out to join us. My name is Rose Han Yuan. I'm VP of Bucks County Association of Realtors for 2022. Also co-chair of the DEI committee. It's my also honor to be the AREAA, that's ARIA, Asian Real Estate Association of America, Greater Philadelphia chapter president. So here I want to welcome you to join us to celebrate and make sure you get your handy dandy drink ready for our toast later on. And I would like to turn this over to my co-chair, Darlene Meekins. Take it away, Darlene. Darlene, you're on mute.
Sorry, Darlene.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm so excited to be here. I forgot to turn my unmute off. And as Rose mentioned, I am the co-chair with her for the Bucks County DEI committee. I am also newly elected to be a director on that board in 2023. I also recently was seated to be the Region 3 Vice President for the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And it is my honor to introduce the next speaker, or I guess the next introduction, the next person that'll do the introduction is Miss Monique Simpson. She has been a realtor for about 1.5 years now, but she is blazing a trail, doing very well. She sits on the PAR, the Pennsylvania Association of Realtors DEI committee, and she is very passionate about making home ownership accessible to the underserved. So with that, I'm gonna push it over to Monique. And I want everyone to enjoy. As you can hear in the background, I'm in the holiday spirit and looking forward to hearing from our guest speaker and singer. Take it away, Monique.
Thank you, Darlene. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. And I'm going to introduce Tina Lombard. So Tina have a very extensive and impressive resume. So I'm going to try my best to capture it all. First of all, Tina, welcome and thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. We greatly appreciate it. And like I said before, I'll try my best to capture it all, but we're going to put her full bio in the chat for anyone that wants to learn more. So Tina is currently a loan officer in Colorado and Washington State. However, her career began as a stockbroker. After much success in the banking industry, she transitioned to mortgage, first as a marketing rep and then in mortgage financing. With over 30 years of experience, Tina has a passion for working with realtors and a diverse group of buyers to attain mortgage financing. Not only is she great at her work, but she's very involved and connected in the community. So I'm going to just list a few of the associations that she's connected with. She's past president and board member of ARIA, and that's the Asian Real Estate Association. That's a Denver chapter. She also has been involved in the entertainment business, so music and television. She has done hosting. She's been an MC. She's co-star and produced TV shows for several years. And currently she's co-starring and producing in a real estate and money radio talk show. And she has also written financial columns for different community magazines. So Tina is doing a lot. So thank you again for taking the time out, and we greatly appreciate you being here, and we cannot wait for your performance. So I'm going to turn it over to Ahmed.
Thank you, Monique. I have the privilege of introducing my friend Natalie Davis. As a realtor, a national speaker, and a business coach, Natalie Davis wears many hats. She's committed to inspiring real estate professionals, companies, and organizations to excel and be intentional industry thought leaders. With the passion to lead and serve, Natalie has worked with associations and brokerages to facilitate both strategic and business planning. She teaches the NAR at Home with Diversity and NAR Implicit Bias Override courses. Natalie is also a ninja coach and teaches Mastery for Associates Guide for Ninja Selling, which helps agents across the country build an evergreen business. In 2022, she served as the Members Services Liaison for the National Association of Realtors and will be the president for the Colorado Association of Realtors in 2023. Her dedication to the progression of the industry has received recognition by the Colorado Young Professional of the Year Award in 2016, a Distinguished Service Award in 2016 and 2021, Fort Collins Board of Realtors Rookie of the Year finalist in 2012, and Young Professional of the Year 2014. Natalie's full bio will be in the chat for anyone who would like to read more about her. Now it is my honor and privilege to introduce someone I look up to and our distinguished speaker today, Natalie Davis. Take it away, Natalie.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. I have to say, I am so grateful to be here with you all today. As you all heard, this is a celebration of differences. We are coming together to celebrate our victories for the year, our differences in how we're showing up at the table, and how we're able to serve our clients and serve the communities that we live in. But we could not do this if we did not have the support of industry partners across the country. And I have to say, Ahmed, I am so appreciative of you because you are absolutely a raving fan and you are not a secret. You don't keep it a top secret. So I appreciate you and thank you for being here and for getting this all together. I also want to thank the Bucks County Association of Realtors staff, specifically Anne Marie. We have worked together to bring this together. Anne Marie, thank you, and Lisa as well, to bring this opportunity together. I think it's a fabulous value to the membership to come together as we close out the year to celebrate all that we've accomplished and truly in recognizing and looking at the goals that we're setting for 2023. So welcome to the Realtor members, affiliate partners and strategic partners as well. If you are on the call, thank you. As you heard, my name is Natalie Davis. I am going to give you my contact information. I am happy to connect offline and after this session if you'd like to connect. You can scan the QR code that's on the screen. I am the 2023 president for the Colorado Association of Realtors. And so if you are doing the math, it is 10 a.m. here on my coast, but we are going to have a celebratory toast at the end nonetheless, because I am excited for all of the work that you're doing. And I have the honor of presenting today's program alongside one of my dear friends and an industry partner as well, Miss Tina Lombard. You heard Tina's resume. She is a mortgage loan officer. She's also going to be our vocalist today. And it's so important. I'll talk about the importance of building out your team when you're creating an inclusive business model. But having partners on your team like Tina is such an honor because she understands the mission and vision of making sure that we have an inclusive business practice and that we're providing fair and equitable service to all of our members and to the communities that we serve within. Tina, I would love to just toss it over to you really quickly if you have a few words that you want to share with everyone in terms of your engagement and involvement in the community and in being an advocate for inclusivity within the industry.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here. But I am I grew up as a child in the Air Force. My mother's Filipino, my father's Creole, so he's French, Italian, and Black. So I grew up as a child in very, very diverse bloodlines on both sides, and I got to see every aspect of every type of life. I've lived with rich people, poor people. I lived in the jungles of the Philippines. I lived in Seattle, and I live here in Denver now. I have always been involved in the church, which, church is the community. And although all my best friends and stuff are realtors, I've always gravitated towards mortgages because the numbers is a thing for me, and I love it. And I know right now there's still a lot of opportunities in the diverse sector for us to do more loans for people who need it, underserved markets. So for me, I tried to leave this industry many a times, but my heart and my family and everything keeps pulling me back because there still is a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of people who have been missed, and I feel like I'm a warrior for them. And it has given me such joy in my life to do this type of work. It's been an absolute blessing. And to be able to sing for you and celebrate some of what I go through, what other people go through, is such a delight and a blessing.
Yeah. Thank you, Tina. I am so looking forward to this. And just so you know, for the Bucks County Association members, this is the first time that Tina and I have put this presentation on. So this is exclusive to you. It is a special opportunity to you, and it has been an absolute pleasure in bringing it together. So without further ado, let's dive into what we're going to talk about today. As you saw, our session today is called A Celebration of Differences, looking at diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And what I want to make sure that as we're spending time together today, that as we discuss diversity, equity, and inclusion, that we're not forgetting the element of creating that sense of belonging, not just within the communities that we serve, but also with our industry peers. I've had the opportunity to speak to many realtors across the country, and unfortunately, when I pose the question to realtors, do you know realtor members that are part of your community right now that are not involved in the association because they don't have that sense of belonging? And 9 times out of 10, there are hands that go up, there are heads that shake that say, yes, I know people that will not be volunteer or raise their hand to be a part of the association because they don't feel that they belong within that space. I feel that, as Tina mentioned, we're the warriors for this industry. We need to make sure that as realtors, that we're not only creating that sense of belonging for the practitioners within our industry, but also for our clients that we're serving, the communities that we're reaching out to. If we're not able to deliver the message to everyone within our community so that they have an understanding that if they are ready, willing, able to buy, if they're really ready, willing, and able to sell or to practice real estate, that we're here to support them to follow that goal. What I want to do as we kick off is to truly set the tone for the time that we're going to spend together today. I know that this work, it's not a matter of checking a box. It's not a matter of looking at the things that are nice to have, but actually doing the self-reflection, looking at who we are and how we're showing up in our everyday lives, within our business, within our communities, with our family and our friends. It all starts with the person that's looking back at us in the mirror. So Tina, why don't you kick off our first song?
I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. I'm gonna feel real good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter song, the wind is blowing my mind. I can see kids in the street without enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their needs? A summer's disregard, broken bottle top, and one man's soul. They follow the other one, the wind, you know, 'cause they got no place to go. That's why I want you to know I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you want to make a world a better place, you better look at yourself and make a change. Have been a victim of a selfish kind of love that I realize there were some with no home Now that think it's alone, could it be really me pretending not to see you alone? A widow deeply scarred, somebody's broken heart, and a one now dream. They follow the pattern of where you see, cause they got no place to be. That's why it started with me. I started with a man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could be any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, you better look at yourself and make a change. Make a change. Make change.
Oh, beautiful, Tina. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Oh, beautiful. I absolutely love it. We're starting with the man in the mirror, right? If we want to make a change in the world, we've got to start by looking at ourselves. So I thought this is a perfect song for us to kick off our time together, because this is not about making changes for other people, thinking about, individuals that we work with that sometimes we have that thought of, they'd really benefit if they took this class or if they showed up today. We're going to start with the piece that we have control over. We have control over our decisions, our actions, the businesses that we create, the people that we help and we serve. So I just thought that it was so important for us to just make sure that as we enter into this conversation today, that we take that opportunity to reflect on ourselves. What can we do differently? How can we show up differently? How can we do better? How can we do more? So as we start to dive into this conversation, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, I always like to set a couple of ground rules before we dive too far into the content. When we are talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, I just like to make sure that everyone has an understanding that we're all coming to the table with different experiences, different levels of knowledge and expertise in terms of where we are for these topics. So just making sure that we create a space that we can honor and respect every individual for where they are today and where they're wanting to go in the future. I'm going to provide you with a couple of statistics so you'll have some key takeaways for the note takers that are out in the audience. We are celebrating, but I'll still give you some key takeaways. I feel that every session, Rose, I see it. I love it. I'm not surprised. Rose is a note taker. She's a woman after my own heart. I want to make sure that you have tangible items that you can apply to your business, right? I want to make sure that we also leave our time together feeling great, knowing that this is a celebration, celebrating one another, celebrating the communities that we work in. In the chat, I saw that there were so many communities that are represented here today, and I love that. The impact that we have, just imagine the ripple effect that that can have across the country as we continue working in this area. And then I also want to make sure that if there are questions or opportunities for us to learn, that we'll honor that safe space for individuals to share, pose their questions, and possibly dive into it if time allows. And that if we see those individuals later or on a different Zoom call, we're going to respect them and not bring up what they share with us today, but instead we're going to leave that in this safe space. This is our own experience that we get to be a part of today. And so we'll honor those individuals. And so what I want to start by doing is just double checking to make sure that we don't have any unanswered questions in the chat. Anne-Marie, do we have any questions that so far? We're good to go.
Good. Yep.
Awesome. Great. Please utilize the chat box to ask any questions. And when we get to a moment that's a break in the session that we're going over today, I am happy to answer any questions that you may have. This is a learning opportunity for us all. So as we think about reflecting on the individuals that we are, the man in the mirror, the person looking at ourselves, what we have heard a lot about in terms of discussion in the area of diversity, equity, inclusion has been in terms of bias. As Ahmed mentioned, I'm fortunate and I have the opportunity to offer the National Association of Realtors Implicit Bias Override course. And that offering, I have to say, I'm a little partial. I have to say the content, the curriculum is so impactful. It's so inspiring for me every time I have the opportunity to share it and talking to other attendees and realtors that go through the offering, that we take that chance to reflect on ourselves, right? The entire course looks at our own biases. And what we've discovered is that there's a multitude of biases. In terms of the biases that we have, there are many variables and factors that can play into that. But during that course, we also go over the 3 key areas of implicit bias, and it incorporates implicit bias, stereotype threat, and identity anxiety. Those are the 3 areas that I really want to make sure that we take a moment to look at and reflect on today. There are over 14 different types of biases that are present within our lives, or opportunities that have been opportunities for us to be biased within our lives that have already been identified. I'm sure that as we continue to do work on the area, we'll uncover more. But as of right now, there are 14. For implicit bias specifically, the one topic that we talk about most frequently and what I hear most frequently, those are the biases that we have that we don't realize that they're kicking in. It's our subconscious brain's automatic response to the things that are happening, amongst us within our area. If you think about the biases that you had, even in getting on the call today, what were some of the thoughts that you had in jumping onto a session that talks about celebrating differences? What is that going to look like? What were your expectations? Or even seeing Tina and myself and thinking, okay, what are they going to share? What are they going to present today? These are the types of biases that pop up within our business. They pop up within our lives. Oftentimes, what we want to make sure that we're doing is focusing on the intentionality on how we respond to those biases when we're working with our clients and working with our peers, because our actions are actually what potentially get us in hot water when we're looking at fair housing violations and code of ethics violations. So when you're looking at your biases, what are your thought patterns around different social groups? And just really taking that opportunity to reflect on yourself. How are you showing up, or how do you respond and react when specific individuals that may be part of a different social group should enter the room or reach out to you so that you can help them with the services that you provide? And what we look at when we are looking at the physiological impact, we now go into the stereotype threat. And this is the physiological phenomenon that when an individual feels at risk when they're confirming negative stereotypes about a specific group. Now, I think for the most part, we're all realtors on the call. If you're an industry partner like Tina, go ahead and just use the title that fits you if you're not a realtor member. But think about the stereotypes that surround being a realtor. What are some of the things that pop up when some of the stereotypes that people believe or that you've actually heard and experienced? Go ahead and drop it in the chat. What are some terms or stereotypes that you've heard when you introduce yourself as I'm a realtor? And I'll just wait for those to come through. Greedy and rich. Yeah, I hear that a lot. Absolutely. So when we introduce ourselves, think about going to a networking function that's not a realtor networking function, and we introduce ourselves as a realtor. Think about the last time you introduced yourself. Do you always qualify what that means when you say it? After you say it as I'm a realtor and I do this full time. It's my profession. I offer value and service to my clients. Is there always a comma and what you do after? Because you want to speak against the greedy, the rich, the salesperson mentality, right? So we're not the greedy, pushy salespeople. I know realtors. We're probably, in terms of an industry, the industry, if you're looking at it standalone, that volunteers and gives back to the community more than any other industry in the country. So we are the most giving group of individuals that there is, but the perception, the stereotype that we're constantly fighting that goes up against us is that we're greedy and that we're all wealthy, and it's easy to become a realtor and we set our own schedules. And we all know that none of that is true. What we do is very challenging, right? There is so much that we invest when we invest in our profession. But when we think about stereotype threat, it's that feeling that we have where we have to go into a room filled with, let's just think C-suites or executives, and we introduce ourselves and we say, well, I'm a realtor. Yes, I do this full time, or I've been a realtor for 15 years, right? So you quantify it to some degree so that there's a higher level of respect for the position that you hold. This is stereotype threat. It's that there's a stereotype that's connected to a specific social group that you may belong to. And then you automatically know, and your body responds that if you act or do something in a certain way, that it's going to reinforce the negative stereotypes that go along with that social group. And you can apply that across the board. What I want to make sure that I point out is that not only do we experience those stereotype threats, the people that we work with often experience that sense of stereotype threat as well. The other is identity anxiety. And this is when a person's sense of identity becomes insecure, unstable. And what I like to think about is when you have a person that may be a part of an out group, and when I say an in-group or an out-group, an in-group is the majority of individuals belong to a similar social group, and there is a small number that may belong to a secondary social group. So if you're part of an out group, when you have that, when you have identity anxiety, it's actually twofold. You see identity anxiety experienced within the in-group because they're now concerned on what they're saying and how it's going to impact and how they'll be perceived by individuals that are part of the out group. And the people that are in the out group are truly concerned about how they're going to be perceived and if they're only receiving information because they are a part of that out group or because they're part of a specific social group. This identity anxiety happens amongst all of us. So it doesn't matter if you're part of the in-group or part of the out-group. When you're engaging with different members of different social groups, it's popping up in some respect. So if you had, let's just say, a coffee meeting or an interview or a mentorship opportunity with an individual that belonged to a different social group, and after that meeting, you walk away and you think, gosh, I don't really feel like I connected with that individual. There's a strong possibility that that other individual may have been experiencing identity anxiety, and subconsciously they're so caught up in making sure that the perception of them is what they want it to be, versus them actually being present and being engaged in that conversation. So these are some of the key areas that definitely pop up and have an impact on how we're showing up in our business. Think about this when you're meeting with a new buyer or a seller, specifically first-time home buyers. I see this happen quite a bit with first-time home buyers. The level of anxiety that they have in terms of going through this process, and if they happen to be a first-time home buyer that's a part of an out group, or they're a different social group than you, just know that they're probably processing, how does this realtor perceive me? And you too are probably processing, is this truly a real buyer if they're a first-time home buyer? And we're going to talk about ways to make sure that we avoid going through these assessments to satisfy our subconscious biases. We don't want to keep feeding the biases. We want to just make sure that we're intentional about understanding when they're popping up, and then intentional about correcting them when they're popping up. So once we get to that stage, when we have that level of intentionality, knowing that we've identified the biases that we have and we're working to correct them, making sure that we're following systems and processes so that everyone is receiving equal service, there's no stopping us. So Tina, if you could take it away with our next selection.
Tina, we can't hear you.
I love it. Thank you, Tina. Thank you. Thank you. I will let you know, Tina, I think on your end, can you speak just normal? Okay, so I think that I'm getting a message that says the musician optimization off. could you look at your audio to just in your Zoom setting? I think it's one of your audio settings in Zoom. Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you. But I was able to hear it. I hope you all were able to hear it a little bit. I'll let Tina look on that end. And I think Anne Marie is working with her on the sound piece. We will try to make it so that you guys can hear it a little bit louder. We want you to have that full experience because again, it is celebration, right? There's no stopping us as we're moving forward. So Anne Marie, do we have any questions in the chat box?
No, not at this time.
Okay, you guys we're just going to keep rocking and rolling then. So there is no stopping us, right? When we know that we have these biases, we're not, when we have the conversation around implicit bias, we're not erasing or removing the biases. We know that we're going to have those and we're going to carry those forward. There's no stopping us. But one surefire way to make sure that we are unstoppable is to create an inclusive business model. This is something that I hang my hat on at all points in time. It's the best thing that you can do to make sure that you're keeping yourself out of hot water. And what I want to talk to you about is 5 key areas when we're looking at creating an inclusive business model. The first thing that you want to look at is what is your why? When we're talking about creating that sense of belonging for the people that we're going to serve and the people that we work alongside, why are we doing it? Right? It's not simply checking a box. It's not a fad. It's not a trend. This diversity is how we're showing up. This is who we are. So why do we want to make this an important piece of our business? And then once you've identified why, you're going to set some goals. And then we're going to talk about accountability, creating a plan, and then committing to the plan that we've created. So let's start by diving into these first 5 steps. What is your why? What I think is important, if you are looking at your own specific business plan, or if you are in the position of ownership or leadership for a company or organization, you can start by looking at your core values. The core values specifically for the company and or your business, not your own personal core values, because the two can be different. When you're looking at core values, I like to remind people to actually just go and do a core values exercise so you can identify your top 1 and at very max 2 core values, because it is going to be your driving force moving forward. For me, my personal core value that I've identified is joy. And there's a little bit of a challenge when your core value is joy, because I'm a mom. I have 2 amazing daughters. And when people hear that my core value is joy and not family, there's always this disconnect of, well, why would your core value not be family? And let me tell you, my core value is joy, because I know that if I can bring joy to other people and then bring joy into the situations that I'm a part of, those experiences, I can then bring joy back to my family and have additional experiences with my family that create memories that will last a lifetime. Ultimately, I know that if I'm pouring into other people things that will bring them joy, I in turn have things that pour into me and bring me joy. It's a win-win. It's also easy for me to understand where and how I'll volunteer and serve. Because if I'm asked, would you like to do this? It's a quick check. Is that going to bring me joy? Yes or no? If the answer is no, it's probably something that's better suited for someone else, right? Not that I don't want to do it. It's just better suited for someone else because it doesn't honor my core value. If family were your core value, your personal core value, you want to think about the activities that you're doing. If family is your core value, are you missing dinner 4 times out of the week with your family? Or are you showing up? If you're missing dinner to go and show property, you're now acting out of alignment of your core value, and it makes things so challenging in terms of your behavior and action moving forward. So look at that, not just for yourself, also look at it for your business. For my business, my core value is empowerment. It's empowering buyers, sellers, investors. It's empowering realtors. It's empowering organizations and businesses to be the best, to strive for their best. So my business core value is separate from my personal core value. If you have not done a core value exercise, go to the Google and just type in core value assessment. There are various options out there. I don't endorse or support or receive compensation for any of them. Just do a quick search and do that. Identify your top 1 or 2 core values that you have for yourself and then also for your business. This will help you in identifying your why. The second piece in identifying your why is looking at your beliefs. What are your beliefs around inclusive business practices? We're going to talk a little bit more about action items here in a little bit later in our presentation. But when we're looking at our beliefs, are we simply just bringing in education offerings in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion? Or have we created business practices and systems to support ourselves and our agents in terms of their business model? Do you have a mission statement that supports diversity? Do you have a vision statement that references inclusion within your business? These are the things that you want to take a deeper dive into. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to introduce the One America principles, and I'm going to share that with you all today. Introduce the One America principles to a group of broker owners, and I believe it was 50% of the broker owners that attended that session took the One America principles and included that in two areas. One, with their onboarding of their new agents that were coming on. The One America principles became a document that the agents had to acknowledge and sign before becoming a part of that brokerage. This shows when we talk about belief system around inclusion, diversity, and equity for your brokerage or your business, what are the steps that you're taking? That is a solid step. She then took it a step further to include it in all of her buyer and seller packets so that the consumer was aware of where they stood in terms of creating and having an inclusive business model for them in terms of the service that they received. This is the belief system. It's the actions that we take in addition to the thoughts that we have. And then the impact. What type of impact are you wanting to have in your community? So this all together creates your why. Why are you doing this? Again, I said it's not a trend. It's not a nice to have. It's a part of who we are. And it's important for us to provide the best level of service for our clients and be the best realtor partners that we can be for our industry peers. So we also want to make sure that we're continuing to raise awareness. This QR code is going to actually take you over to NAGLREP's 2019 study. And what NAGLREP discovered in what part of their study, one of their findings was in terms of support that they receive from their brokerages. And they said that they would like to see the brokerages and the associations spending more money in local and regional LGBTQ plus publications, websites, etc. The presence was not there, the support for the industry. So we want to make sure that as we're looking at areas that we can continue to be involved and serve our industry partners, our peers and our communities, that we're connecting and going to where they are, right? Are they seen? Do they see us as that warrior, as Tina mentioned? Do they see us as that warrior for them, the trusted advisor that's going to help them through the real estate transaction? The next thing that you want to do is make sure that you're creating goals. And I'm all about creating SMART goals, make sure that they're specific and measurable and attainable and realistic and timely, right? So you want to make sure that they're SMART goals. But when you are looking at the goals that you set, don't go to do a complete overhaul. I'm never a believer in doing a complete overhaul in your business. Take a couple of areas, identify those key areas, and then you can plug in and take action items from there. So what we like to look at the results that you're wanting to have. What is the result or the impact that you're wanting to have? What is the strategy that you can use to attain it? And then break it down into the smaller action items that you can take to achieve that bigger goal. So again, if this is business planning season, if you all are not aware, this is probably the most favorite time of year for me, just because we're getting a clean slate, right? We now have the opportunity to create the foundation of what our business is going to look like in 2023 and beyond. As we're in business planning season, look at the goals that you've set. Do you have some intentional goals in terms of maybe just raising awareness that you are that your brand or your brokerage is one that is a big advocate for inclusivity and belonging in terms of the services that you offer? And if that's one of your goals that you've set, what's the strategy that you can take in doing so? And that may be a strategy would be raising awareness, community outreach, right? And then when you take those items, what are the action steps? For raising awareness, maybe it's simply incorporating the One America principles into your buyer and seller packet. You all, that's easy, right? That's easy to do. You can print that out and make that happen today. So think about your goals that you've set already for 2023, and what are the areas that you can continue to include inclusion, diversity, and equity into your goals. What I've discovered in working with agents in terms of business planning is that inclusion, diversity, and equity can fit into every single goal that you have. It's not a standalone, right? It's not, here's my focus on DEI. It's here's my business plan, and it's intertwined through and woven throughout. Another key piece that you want to make sure that you have is accountability. And this is accountability with your peers, so that you are continuing to deliver the level of service that you said that you're going to. How are you showing up in your business? And then having someone available to hold your feet to the fire. And sometimes accountability may just be in the form of looking at organizations that support your focus area, or even an initiative that's important to you. Rose, congratulations on being president for ARIA. That's huge. And I love the work that the organization is doing. Did I lose Darlene? Is she on? I can't see her on my screen, but for the position and the role with NAREP as well. So when we're looking at opportunities to support ourselves or looking for accountability, this is what look for communities that support you. What's your focus area? You don't have to be plugged in and involved in everything, but you can and should be plugged in and involved in something. And that's what's going to give you that level of accountability. You can see here, companies are taking the stand and making sure that there is emphasis and focuses in the space of DEI. When you look at various organizations and companies that have inclusivity statements, councils, groups, and committees, maybe you're not at a place that you want to join or start a committee, but there are resources that are already there. Just plug into the resources that are already available and at your disposal. Anne Marie is a great resource for you. So if you want to get plugged into the association, reach out to her and she can point you in the right direction. And then you also want to make sure you're creating a plan, right? This is the action item. And when you're creating this plan, this more than likely should include that why, that vision statement, the mission statement that you've created for yourself. And so let me just help you, because this is typically where we get a lot of the, we get caught in the details. We as realtors like to dive right into the weeds. I want you to keep it back up at the 30,000 aerial foot view. Look at some of the resources that are already available to you. This is the statement from the Bucks County Association of Realtors website. It's publicly displayed. Bucks County Association of Realtors supports fair housing, diversity, and inclusion. Together, we will continue to strengthen our commitment to fair housing and real estate and foster inclusivity and diversity through our membership and the communities that they serve. It's front and center. If you have a person that is getting into the industry and they want to become a realtor member, they know exactly where the local association stands. Here's the great piece. You can bring this into your business model. As a member of the Bucks County Association of Realtors, I support, insert their statement. Easy peasy, guys, because you're giving credit to the association. You're acknowledging that you are a member of this organization that has taken the stance, that has taken the intentionality in doing the work in the space. So a couple of other resources for you. I mentioned the One America Principles. Is there anyone that has not ever seen the One America Principles? A couple of hands. Okay, I will go into just telling you a little bit about the One America Principles. So the One America Principles actually came out of the Clinton administration, and it was as a result of Clinton identifying that there was still a disconnect in the fair housing within our country, and where there needed to be a statement that was made to reinforce fair housing and equal housing opportunities for the members of our community. So when we look at the One America Principles, I think it's powerful, and I'm going to give you a couple of ways that you can incorporate this into your business. So with the One America Principles, just we can read it together. I welcome you and I want to do business with you. I will base my decisions and opinions of you on who you are, not on any preconceived stereotypes of ingrained value judgment. I subscribe to the Federal Fair Housing Act and its principles. I embrace and celebrate the strength that diversity brings to our communities and nation. I will help you find opportunities to buy the home that you choose. I will market home ownership to the public and reach out to people who may not know that home ownership is a realistic option. I will make sure that you know that there's a full range of housing choices available to you and encourage you to consider all communities and neighborhoods. I will make every effort to maintain open, two-way communication. If we do not share a common language, I will work with you to find someone who can interpret. I've incorporated these principles into my daily operation and my overall business plan. I would be proud to share that plan with you. It answers any unknowns that someone may have. Specifically, when I say someone, it's the consumer. right? Our job is to help in protecting the consumer. And if we don't think that creating a statement like this or creating some type of statement to address this is important or vital to your business, just keep in mind with that QR code that you scanned, I believe it's an 18 to 20 page report, if I'm not mistaken. The report also discovered that out of the individuals that were surveyed, out of the LGBTQ plus community, 47% of the individuals that were surveyed expressed that they would not purchase a home or enter into the home buying process because they had fear that they would be discriminated against by their lender, by their realtor, or by the community that they moved into. When we think about our obligation to the Fair Housing Act, we have to uphold that. When we think about the code of ethics and what we have to do to adhere to the code of ethics, why do we still have this unanswered or the unknown with the consumer on how we're going to represent them in a real estate transaction? So let's not be secret agents about it. Let's share how we stand and how we've built this inclusive business model. One additional resource that I want to share for you is the Diversity and Inclusion Commitment Statement from the National Association of Realtors. We're all members of the National Association of Realtors. This is the statement that was released a few years ago, I believe under President Vince Malta. This statement addresses the stance of diversity and inclusion for the National Association of Realtors. And let me just give you a pointer. It has probably gone past, not probably, 100% has already gone through the legal team for review. So it's safe to use. Again, the simple statement of, as a realtor, I uphold the National Association of Realtors Diversity and Inclusion Commitment Statement. Include that in your business plan, your business model, your website. Oh, I want to go back one page. The One America Principles. Another way to incorporate this, if you're bringing this into your business as a document that's acknowledged by incoming agents, your buyers, sellers, investors that you're working with, you can also take this and break it down into social media posts, turn it into a video. I think it would be so powerful to see realtors across the country reading the One America Principles and housing that as a video on their website or social media. So powerful. It delivers the message to the public so that they know where you stand and the type of business that you've created. Last but not least, we've got to commit to it, right? So the fifth step in that is making sure that we commit. So it's great for us to say, yes, I have this inclusive business model, but I want to challenge you. Do you truly? A few years ago, I had the opportunity to help facilitate a multicultural and multi-organizational panelist discussion in the area of inclusivity. And we were able to invite all of our multicultural associations. We also had on the tape or on the platform presenting the Colorado Association of the Colorado Coalition for People with Disabilities, and then also the Veterans Association. So it was a fabulous panel. We were going to have amazing discussion around the initiatives for all of the associations and organizations and their focus for the upcoming year. I had the opportunity to go and do a last minute check on the space just to make sure that the venue was set up and ready to go. And all of the attendees, the panelists, were going to present from a platform, a raised partition platform from a stage. Our representative that was coming from the Colorado Coalition for People with Disabilities uses a wheelchair. And our platform or stage did not have a wheelchair. I've become so sensitive to this. Every stage that I see now, I always check, is there a ramp that gives you access to this platform or this stage? We didn't think about this. Here we are doing the work to create an inclusivity workshop, and we didn't create that sense of belonging for our individual that used a wheelchair. Because of staff, and I always applaud staff, they were able to quickly get a ramp installed before the event took place, and he was able to utilize the ramp. But because I went through this moment of anxiety, as he was presenting a little further during the day, and he shared he was recently a home buyer, and he posed the question to the group, if I called you, would you be able to help me? And in that moment, I sat on my hands, and I thought, I'm not raising my hand. And every hand went up in that room. And I didn't not raise my hand because I didn't want to help him, but I knew my vehicle would not be able to house the wheelchair that he uses, and I did not have a plan in place to accommodate a buyer that uses a wheelchair. That's simply because of lack of planning. Now, I've since strategized and said, okay, if I'm in this situation again, my plan is my client drives, I'm the passenger, and we're going to go and take a look at houses, and I'll still be able to provide an exceptional level of service. But I never took that moment in thinking I have an inclusive business model. Do I truly? and I didn't. So it really takes intentionality and commitment when you're moving forward and creating this inclusive business model. So what I want to say to you, if you're able to commit to these 5 things, if you have that accountability partner, you have the plan in place, if you're looking at your why and you commit to that moving forward, it absolutely creates heroes among all of us. So Tina, I am going to pass it over to you to tell us a little bit about the heroes that we can become.
Tina, where's Tina? Tina.
No, now we can't hear you at all, Tina. Oh, no. No, not at all. Not at all. I think in correcting it, we made it worse, which sometimes we do as realtors. So that's okay, acknowledging that. No, not at all. No. Do you think if you just use your device sound and not your microphone? Oh, no. Oh, this is a key piece too. I really wanted you all to hear the song. Huh. Oh, Anne Marie, I can't hear you either. You're muted. Okay. Tina, here's what we'll do. You keep working on sound. I will keep moving forward. If you want to work on sound, play and you start playing, I have no problem stopping.
Tina,
so
real fast, if you want to exit the session and then go into a testing mode, Zoom test, and see if it'll work that way. Do you want me to give you a call? I don't have your number, but.
Beautiful. We're going to figure it out. Technology is amazing until it's not, you all.
If she can chat it to me, that would be great. And I'll give her a call.
Okay, beautiful. I think she hopped out and she will come back. So
Okay.
There was a question in the chat. It's oneprinciple.net for the One America Principles. So great question. I did see that pop up. Fabulous. And I love the question because that means that you're taking action and committing. So kudos to that. And you will have a copy of this slide deck as well. I've shared that with Anne Marie and staff. So after we wrap up, or you might have already received it, you will have a copy of the slide deck. I think she's come back in. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna do something simple. I'm not gonna go all crazy, but so the sound doesn't mess up. But can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yes,
it's beautiful.
it's
Yes, go
perfect.
right ahead.
There's a hero. If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of who you are. There's an answer if you reach inside your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you will be strong, and you'll finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face the world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you. You can find love when you search inside your own, and the emptiness you felt will disappear. And a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. And when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you know you'll see the truth that I hear.
Thank you, Tina. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that we were able to fix the sound. You all, it wouldn't have been the same without it, right? It's beautiful. Oh, thank you, Tina. And so we're not facing the world alone, right? We're here to support one another. We're committed to supporting one another. If there are things that you want to do, that you want to incorporate in your business, a difference that you want to make in the lives for the individuals that you're serving, just to expand the reach that you currently have for the community that you serve within, reach out to your peers, reach out to other realtors across the country, reach out to me. If I don't have the answers, I will give you the person that does have the answers. But there are tools and resources available. Nothing is going to stand in our way when it comes to being a hero for the people that we serve and upholding what we know is important to our industry. Anne-Marie, did I miss any other questions that might have come through the chat?
Not really. There was a comment from Emily. Just want to read it real fast. It's a great session with very knowledgeable speakers. Intentionally reach out and promote DEI with one item discussed in our recent NAR DEI committee meeting. So thanks, Emily, for mentioning that.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate it. Fabulous. And that reinforces there are so many people that have resources available to us. Reach out to one another. We're not doing this alone. Okay, so our last few moments together, I just want to do a quick recap. We are celebrating differences today. One thing, or the 6 things that I want to leave us with is number 1 is communication. And I titled this, respect and curiosity in 2023 and beyond. When we are having conversations around diversity, equity, inclusion, creating that sense of belonging for the people within our industry and the people that we serve, having respect and curiosity as we enter into communication with individuals typically sets a pretty solid foundation for healthy conversation. So just keep that in mind. And when I say curiosity, it is curiosity of a 4-year-old that wants to know why, that wants to dig deeper, that just has that yearning to learn. Think about it from that respect. And then the second piece, again, tie in that accountability. Find someone here that you can connect with that will hold you accountable. The same scenario where I discussed the event where the gentleman that used a wheelchair that didn't have access to the ramp, I was sharing the experience with a fellow realtor, and I shared with her, I said, I was a little embarrassed. We had the situation where one of our presenters was wheelchair bound, and she stopped me and she said, he's not wheelchair bound. He uses a wheelchair. And in that moment, I said, you're right. And I didn't mean to be offensive. And again, intent is not good enough. I took that opportunity. I said, please tell me more. This is a space that she worked within. This is a space that I've become more intentional on in making sure that my business model is inclusive so that I can serve people with different abilities in a way that they have exceptional experiences. Have an accountability person that will hold your feet to the fire. Community engagement, plug into the community. Events that you would not typically participate in, plug in there. Do things like today, educate yourself, learn more, expand your horizons through the element of education. And if there are opportunities to connect with people in different social groups that don't look like you, that don't worship where you worship or work where you work, connect with them. And last but not least, make sure that you're taking the opportunity to commit to the work. What I want to do now, I know that Anne-Marie and Rose said that we should all have a little glass to toast. And yes, it is still 10, the hour of 10 on this time zone. So I'm drinking a nice coconut juice, but I would like to celebrate you all. I want to propose a toast to the Bucks County Association of Realtors. First of all, may all of you continue to work as members of the Association of Realtors with intentionality to create a culture of belonging that empowers every ready, willing, and able buyer, seller, investor to pursue that American dream. And may the love of the members ripple throughout the community for many, many years to come. Cheers to an amazing 2023, you all. So with that, I hope that you all feel equipped and ready to move forward, take some action in your business. Tina, I would love for you to just sing us out and remind us that we are absolutely unstoppable. Beautiful. Bucks County Association of Realtors, thank you so much. It has been an absolute
Thank you.
honor and celebrating all of our differences together today. Anne Marie, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I am going to look for our friends Rose and Darlene, the co-chairs of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Rose, you want to take it for us?
Yes, everybody, can we get a group shot, please? If you can, turn on all your cameras and we can find a group shot. Otherwise, we're gonna have to screenshot our video and it might be one of us opening our eyes or closing it. So let's all of us have our beautiful smiles up, eyes wide open, and we will do a quick group shot.
And it's okay to be doing whatever work you're doing, right?
Ready? Everybody's cameras on? Anne-Marie, can you do a
Yep.
group shot for us, please?
You got it. 1, 2, 3. Here we go.
Say cheese. DI. Happy New Year.
You got it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Tina. Beautiful
Yes.
music.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Take
Thank you.
care.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Take care. Ahmed, Monique, can you stay? Anne-Marie, stay for a few minutes,
Sure.
please. Lisa. President Lynn, thank you for joining
Thank you.
us. Thank you. Everybody.
Hi.
Hey, Marie, you can stop recording, please.
Lisa, you got it?
Yeah, I'm just
Yes.
stop recording.